Hello, and welcome to this really lovely quiz on love, amor, pia, liebe, whatever you want to call it. 20 questions. Let's begin. Question 1. What was the name of Abraham's wife? Is that Rachel, Sarah, Rebecca, or Leah? And that's Sarah, from Genesis 11, verse 29. Question 2. How was Isaac's wife chosen? Did his father choose a local girl for him to marry? Isaac fell in love with his friend's daughter? His father sent a servant back to Mesopotamia to choose a wife from his own family? Or Isaac fell in love with his servant girl? And his father sent a servant back to Mesopotamia in Genesis chapter 24. Question 3. Which of his wives did Jacob love the most? Was that Leah, Zilpah, Rachel, or Bilhah? And that was Rachel in Genesis chapter 29. Question 4. What happened to Shechem, the prince who fell in love with Dinah, daughter of Jacob? Did he marry Dinah? He, his father, and the men of the city were slain by Dinah's brothers. He invited Dinah's family to live in the city, or he eloped with Dinah. Well, Shechem and his father and other men were slain. In Genesis chapter 34. Question 5. Where did Moses meet his future wife? Was it at a well in the land of Midian, in Pharaoh's palace, in the wilderness on the journey to the promised land, or at the house of one of the Israelites? And that was at a well in Exodus chapter 2. Question 6. What were the restrictions on marriage for the daughters of Zelophehad? They must only have one husband each. They must marry within their tribe. They must marry before the age of 30, or they must marry whoever is chosen by the priest. And they had to marry within their tribe, according to Numbers chapter 36. Question 7. What was the name of Ruth's second husband? Was it Elimelech, Mahlon, Chilion, or Boaz? That was Boaz. You find it in Ruth chapter 4. Question 8. Samson loved Delilah so much that she persuaded him to tell her what? Was it the secret of his strength, where the ark of God was, how to defeat the Israelites, or how many Philistines he had killed? And of course, that was the secret of his strength in Judges chapter 16. Question 9. What was the name of Abigail's first husband? Was it Goliath, Uzzah, Joash, or Nabal? And that was Nabal, according to 1 Samuel chapter 25. Question 10. What convinced David he was in love with Bathsheba to the extent that he was prepared to commit adultery? Was it that he saw her take a bath and saw that she was beautiful? Did he have dinner with her? He saw her with her husband, or she was his servant? And David saw her take a bath in 2 Samuel chapter 11. Question 11. Who did Amnon love and then hate even more than he had loved her? Was it Dinah, Tamar, Leah, or Abigail? And that was Tamar in 2 Samuel chapter 13. Question 12. Who told his wife not to worry, that she was barren, and said, "Am not I better to thee than 10 sons?" Was that Abraham, Jacob, Elkanah, or Manoah? And that was Elkanah in 1 Samuel chapter 1. Question 13. In the love poetry in Song of Solomon, how is the lady's hair described? Is it as a rushing waterfall, a stream of silver, a bed of lilies, or a flock of goats? And we've had that one before. It's a flock of goats, according to Songs chapter 4. Question 14. What was the occupation of Hosea's wife? Was she a housekeeper, a dyer of cloth, a harlot, or a moneylender? She was a harlot, according to Hosea chapter 1. Question 15. Who does Jesus say are the 2 most important people to love? Is it your spouse and your parents, God and your neighbour, God and your spouse, or your spouse and your children? And you must love God and your neighbour, according to Luke chapter 10. Question 16. Which married couple did Paul become friends with at Corinth? Was that Ananias and Sapphira, Aquila and Priscilla, Jason and Lydia, or Peter and Mary? And that was Aquila and Priscilla in Acts chapter 18. Question 17. What is Paul's command to husbands in his letter to the Colossians? Is it love your wives and do not be bitter towards them? Ensure that your wife loves you before you marry her? Love your wives and ensure they keep an orderly house. Ensure that your wife respects you. And he tells people to love their wives and do not be bitter. In Colossians chapter 3. Question 18. What does Paul say is the greatest? Is it faith, hope, love, or all 3? And in a quiz about love, the answer is love, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 13.